Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Shankly Gates Podcast. Today we'll be talking about our two wins against Burnley and Leicester this week, and also looking ahead to our games against Inter Milan and Norwich. And for this, I'm joined just by Kieran this week, but I'm sure it'll be just as good of a podcast. Kieran, how you doing this week?
Yeah, certainly will be, mate. I'm good, fella. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm all good. Looking forward to talking about all of this with you. So we'll get started first of all. Burnley. Always a tricky game. Don't really enjoy playing against them. I always feel a bit of fear in my stomach when that fixture rolls around. And especially like you mentioned off air, looking at the conditions today, it didn't seem like it was going to be a great one. So first of all, we'll start with the team selection. It seemed like for the first time in forever, Klopp had the pick of the bunch in terms of players, and it was almost like he was leaving players out, which he obviously did in the end. So for you, the team that he selected, was it the right choice, or were there any additions that you wish were in there?
Well, first I was a bit, surprised at the start because I think, at the minute, the first name on the team sheet was Jota. Obviously, we learned afterwards. I think he picked up a dead leg in training, so he couldn't play, which obviously, meant there was a gap in the front three. Now he could have gone Luis Diaz because he's definitely impressed the first two games, but as you mentioned, he saw that Burnley away in those sort of conditions. You can't play him in that. I think it'd be unfair to play him in that. So the return of Sadio Mane there, I think, was very good for us. I think it was key for us. No, I mean the rest of the side. I mean the back five picks itself. We can't change any of that. That's, and again, the prove today. Another solid clean sheet. Doesn't matter where it is, home, away, how difficult the conditions are. Clean sheet, you're always on the right track. But it does seem to be which midfield three goes for. Looking at it today, we'll speak about individuals later. Fabinho was excellent and has been, time and time again. We'll touch on the Leicester game from midweek. He was superb there. Yeah, Henderson. He'll run his heart out for you, won't he? Fantastic. And then Naby Keita splits opinion, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Maybe he was the one to. I think they all had an okay game.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the word, difficult one to analyze. Compared to like Thursday night, there were times when we just couldn't keep the ball at all. I don't know, conditions come into it, or the fact we just have Burnley, on the mind, it being difficult. That it shouldn't come into it. But when Thiago came on, there was definitely a difference there from what I saw. So maybe I think whether he's fit or not, or whether he again look, because we are now at Champions League stage, whether he's looking ahead to, the Champions League midweek where he's got to start rotating and all that. Maybe Thiago probably would have been the shout from the start, but looking at it, it looks like probably Thiago will start against Inter in the week. I'm guessing the same will be for Jota as well. So, apart from that, the lads that came in, they did okay, but the most important thing, 3 points on the board, mate.
Well, we'll talk about the game now. I know we've got a comment already from Joe, who said that Burnley were the better side today. So, obviously, we get the result in the end. What would you make of that, Kieran? Would you say Burnley were the better side in the end?
They certainly give it a good go. Bear in mind, the gap between the two teams. Absolutely. You can't have a go. Whether they saw it as sort of a free hit or not, I'm not sure. I didn't see the game against Man United in the week. Obviously, they're coming away with a point, a very good result for them. I think, I don't know what to do with conditions or the fact Burnley always make it tough for people. It is a hot, like we say, it's a horrible game to go to. You wouldn't think it based on league positions. You think, bottom of the league, we should be going there. A team like us and winning comfortably, but it's never the case. You'll always be in the game from minute one. They certainly had the chances as well. Obviously, we'll come on to later. I thought it's between Fabinho and Alisson for man of the match for me. Once again, Alisson, time and time again, keeps us in games. He's absolutely world class. We don't speak about him enough. But yeah, on that ball, Burnley, on another day, he could snatch a point, but for us, we just had to get over the line one way or another, and we did.
Well, we'll talk a bit about Fabinho there. You mentioned we thought that when Salah and Mane and Keita went away for AFCON, we would be relying on the likes of Firmino and Jota for goals. But turned out there was a big Brazilian, bold midfielder that came in and scored quite a few. And today he pops up with another one. And you mentioned there that he had a really good game. So for you, was he the best player on the pitch today?
Yeah, I think it's just going to, like I say, between him and Alisson. I think it'll just be him for his for the goal. It's not the greatest goal I'll ever score, but oh wow, we'll take it. Another goal from a corner. It just doesn't happen to us. We don't think it happens, but we're quite a way clear on that actual stat itself, which is like a bit madness. But not the greatest goal. It's got a little flick from Mane, comes in. Fabinho has 2 bites at it, but he seems to be moving on to it at great pace. The sort of static defending at a corner, you're never going to be able to react in time if someone's moving. But I don't care. It's got in. We'll definitely take it. But he's more in the side for what he does in the midfield, for the way he breaks play up. Keeps the ball. Obviously, we'll touch on the Leicester game. He was sensational in that one. And again today, magnificent. Sort of performance you need if you're going to go to these places and win, which we certainly have to. And obviously comes up with a goal himself. Fantastic. He's got 5 goals in this calendar year now, which is five more than Ronaldo. Which
I was waiting for you to bring that one up. I saw that one earlier.
I know a few have been penalties, which I always.
Ronaldo hasn't been scoring them either lately.
No. Well, he had his chance, didn't he? But I think that penalty should be in a separate list myself. But he's like you say, he stepped up when others have been away, and another. You don't know how important that goal will be come the end of the season.
As a player, though, how important has Fabinho been for us? I know the players talk about him quite a bit, comparing him to a Dyson Hoover in terms of the fact that he just hoovers everything up in front of him. But also, he's one of the first signings that Klopp brought in under the radar again. But it seems now, after a while, he wasn't in the starting lineup. He seemed he needed to get up to speed with how he played. But now it's every single week he seems like a nailed-on starter in that midfield. And we seem like we need him every single time in that position.
No, bang on, mate, 100%. He's that midfield 3 has to be one of the first, and if Thiago's fit, he's the next one to him. Yeah, because we don't half miss them when they don't play.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm one for statistics. I think when they both play, we don't lose basically.
Yeah.
And we do have injury problems, and when he's not there, there's definitely a visible difference. It's the times we've seen it this season, when we've thrown leads away. When if he'd have just been in the midfield, we've gone 1 or 2-0 up. Mm-hmm. We see the game out. So he's definitely an integral part of this team. And like I say, with Adam, the league might be a little bit gone at the minute, but with Adam, it'll be by far and away over.
Well, how important at the end of the day was getting 3 points against Burnley? Obviously, you mentioned there the title race is a very difficult one, but making sure we win every single one of our games now is just as important. So how big was that 3 points today?
Massive, mate. In the context of where we've left ourselves, if we are chasing for the title, we have to win every game from now to the end of the year. And even if we do, that still might not be enough. Because City are a wonderful team. So that just vital. Any away game in the Premier League, always difficult. Doesn't matter where you go, Burnley, Norwich, anyone down there, they're fighting for their lives. You could see it today. They we need the points, they need the points. Just massive, mate. It does surprise. We don't have a bad record. I think we won the last 4. Reading afterwards, I think the last time we lost there was the 2-0 early in the season a few years ago. But since then, we've done relatively okay there, which is good because other teams definitely come unstuck there. Obviously, in terms of title race, I know Man City have still got to go there. So hopefully they'll give them as good as a game as they give us today.
So overall from today's game, who stood out for you? I know we mentioned Fabinho. Is there anyone else that stood out for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly defensively, I mean, they don't get taught. We just assume they're going to be that good. They've set such a high standard. But for me, Virgil van Dijk, you can't say he goes under the radar because everyone notices him,
Yeah.
but we don't give him enough praise because we just expect him just to be that good. He's sensational. Was Thursday night, was again today. The way, again, Marshall's the back forward, does what he does, sweeps everything up, wins near enough every header. Obviously, in a good battle today with Valverde, course, that was, in fact, good one to see. We knew that battle was going to be there. And then for me, again, I'd mentioned him before, Alisson Becker, that man has saved our skin more times than not.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter, an error here or there. He's just absolute, he's an absolute rocking goal, isn't he? Just nothing seems to get past him. He comes up with big save after big save. Again, you look at the forwards who win your games. Certainly, Alisson's kept us in games, and he's probably got this, the same share of points that the front three have earned us this season.
Do you think as well that the defence has almost settled again? I think a few weeks ago we talked about Liverpool's sort of inability to close out games, and it seemed like we were struggling quite a bit to maintain a lead or make sure that we stayed ahead. Do you think now that the sides come back together a bit more, that bit more consistency? Van Dijk and Matip seem to be much more on the same wavelength. Same with Alisson. Do you think that showed today and it made sure that we got the 3 points in the end?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think we are starting to get back towards the 18, 19, 19, 20 season defensive vibes, definitely, because we were unstoppable defensively then. I mean, we look at last season, all the injuries and all the problems. I think that definitely, from our point of view, is a write-off season.
Yeah.
And the start, it hasn't been all plain sailing. I think we have struggled at times this season, certainly, but I think the way the back four sets up, I know we do play high, which, well, still makes me nervous because if you get a time run in there, then better teams will time the runs there and causes problems. I've got no doubt. But I thought we were sensational today. The amount of times we caught them offside was absolutely bang on. I don't know, the game sort of plays out now where the assistant keeps his flag down and teams go on and create chances. And when you see that, because obviously it doesn't count because it's offside, so they didn't create as many chances as you think they do. It's sort of a bit of an illusion. So there's once again, I think we have caught the most offsides this season. There's another stat I'll throw at you. It just shows you how when they get it right, there's when they get it right, they're one of the best at it in the league.
Well, we got it right against Burnley, but we also got it right against Leicester as well, which I know was a bit of a stress at first. I think, Leicester, team that had beaten us already this season, I know they'd had a rough time in the Cup as well, and it seemed like they needed a reaction. So to come out 2-0 winners, Diogo Jota with both goals, I think we talk about him every single week, about how good he is and just how good he is. But I think this time it'd be different to talk about why has he been so good? Because when you think about it, he came from Wolves. He sat on the bench sometimes. Pedro Neto was sometimes preferred over him, and he just seemed to be a good player, but just lacked a bit. So how come, he's come to our club and he's done so well straight off the bat?
I mean, it is an interesting question because certainly when we signed him, it was a bit of an eye opener. It was that's come a bit left field.
Yeah.
Didn't see that. It was a bit of business that no one saw coming. There was no rumours or that. It was bang, deals there, done. And like most players, though, he has had to bide his time. The clock way is not to put him in straight away, just to get a feel for the club, get a feel of training and all that. But so towards the end of last season, well, just last season itself, the signs were there. In terms of his finishing, he was certainly not the nowhere near the finished article. He still isn't, but just slowly but surely, game by game, he's taken on the Klopp methods, to a T basically, and does the running, just really aggressive, that sort of forward. And he's clearly seen, obviously, Mane, Firmino, and Salah, the front three we've had for years, and he's thought, I can have a bit of this. And he has had to bide his time, and I certainly think with obviously the African Cup of Nations we've just had, we needed players to step up, and more so than not, he was fantastic. The 2 goals against Arsenal in the League Cup tie, sensational. But for me, it's not. it's the different type of goals he scores. He's just the sort of centre forward that, you know, we saw his 2 goals against Leicester in about 6 to 8 yards out, unstoppable. But then you look back to the Cardiff FA Cup tie, they had it from the edge of the box. So the more and more you see him, you realise how much of a versatile player he is. I think it's just completely down to hard work. I think in terms of coming up, I think Wolves is not a bad place for us to sign from. I think they do play, a similar way and a similar method. Certainly, that they do play very attractive football, a good team to watch. He come from there, but he still had to put that hard work, and that doesn't come from nothing. And I mean, to be honest, I don't think we're anywhere near seeing peak Jota. I think he's got so much more to give in this team. Absolutely, and I the next 3 to 5 years, I think could be you honestly you could be looking at a 20+ goal a season, league goals a season easily.
Would you also say that there's a sort of an impact in the fact that, the squad that we have is quite a mix in terms of you've got people from different places and speaking different languages, and obviously Jota coming to a club with so many Portuguese-speaking players. I think Luis Diaz mentioned that, being able to speak Spanish with a few of the other players, and that obviously when Fabinho came in, he spoke about, being able to talk to Firmino and Alisson, etc. So do you think that has had an impact, especially with new signings coming in and settling down, being able to converse with different players in the club in, their own language? Do you think that's had an impact?
Yeah, I think it's definitely has to. It certainly makes it a lot easier. Obviously, when he was at Wolves, I mean, they've been taken over by half of Portugal, basically. So he was obviously very comfortable there. But moving to any club, still difficult. Even if you've got, a few players speaking your language, it is, still difficult. But you can't say it doesn't, because it definitely will make a massive difference. There's a few lads there who just couldn't put his arm around him in the the early stage. I mean, his English is still sounding rough. He's spent decent amount of time in this country, so it's not not like you see Luis Diaz, who I don't think his English is that great at the minute. Hopefully, we'll hear a bit more of him over the coming weeks and months. But
I don't think his Scottish is too great either. Andy Robertson mentioned
not according to Robbo anyway. Robbo's Spanish isn't that good either, so it goes the other way. But no, definitely, he's taken to Liverpool like a duck to water, mate. He's been sensational. I honestly think he's only in about second or third gear. I think he's got plenty more to give for us.
You mentioned as well Luis Diaz there. Klopp said that his performance on Thursday night was one of the best debuts he'd ever seen in the Premier League. What did you make of his start? Because I think for me, I was really impressed. Obviously, he didn't get on the score sheet, but in terms of what he provided, inside, outside the box, he just seemed like he fit right into that jigsaw puzzle of the front three. But what about you?
Yeah, being there on Thursday, I enjoyed it. It was wonderful performance. The first thing I look for, and I think most Reds do when they see, a debut, league debut, well, for me, is does he do the running? Absolutely. And that's the first box ticked. There was the only negative against it was in the first half. I think James Justin got in down the right and he didn't track his man, but that can get taught out of him. That's absolutely fine. But what he gave us going forward, which is more important, was similar sort of player to Mane, really, when he certainly got down that left wing. There were times where he just played safe and passed the ball. That's absolutely fine. We keep the ball. That's what we do. But when he did go for those one-on-ones down the right, certainly against Justin, he got past him more times than not. And the couple of balls he managed to get into the box were in good areas. Our forward had made the run into the 6-yard box, and they were just behind them. If we've got someone running in from midfield or a Salah running from the other wing, I think he comes across and buries them. So. I was made up with this performance, Taran, for a league debut against, a lesser side that, they're not terrible by any means. No. I thought they were okay. They kept the ball very well. They're a quite aggressive team. So that's certainly something he will get used to over the coming weeks, but definitely huge positive signs, mate.
So we saw on Thursday night as well, a few of our players come back, the likes of Salah, Elliott, and Keita and Thiago playing, roles in the game. Was there anyone that stood out for you? I think for me, watching Thiago is just such a joy. I'd never get sick and tired of watching that man. It's upsetting when he just doesn't play, or if he doesn't get to play the full 90 minutes, because watching him so calm and composed on the ball, and the way he passes it as well, it's hard not to get overexcited about him because he is just so good at football. But for you, was there anyone in particular that stood out?
No, I'd agree with you, mate. Definitely Thiago. If he played more for us, where could we be in the league? But it's one of them, isn't it? Obviously, we have to have one of the best squads, and we have to have players who can come in and do that. That's that's on us, that we're not. The player's not up to Thiago standards, but when he's just different, as you saw today, he's just different class when he comes on.
Yeah.
The way he can retain the ball is it's out of this world. Just some of the passes you see, not just that, just the short passes that everyone takes for granted. They're just so slick, so easy, 5 feet every time. He's a joy to watch, and certainly the figure we pay for him every time we paid money for a player, even 75 million for Van Dijk.
Yeah,
it looks like nothing. It's just we get the signing spot on every time, and you think, you look at the Thiago thing, you think, well, we've robbed him there. He's quality, and certainly not playing that. He'll start. We'll talk about it in a bit. The Inter game.
Yeah,
he'll definitely start that game, and he'll, for me, have a massive influence on that. But yeah, back to the end of the Leicester game. Obviously, Jota with his 2 goals will take the headlines, absolutely. But it was good to see Harvey Elliott again coming back. I know we touched upon it in the Cardiff review last week, but he just looks so sharp. He looks a young lad who's come back from a bad injury like that. I'd expect him to be a bit timid, a bit shy. Not a bit of it. Gets the ball, drives at the down the left hand side of Leicester there. Well, I think there's definitely a partnership with Salah there, absolutely, in the future. So they're good to see Harvey Elliott come on, but Jota will obviously get the acclaim. But yeah, just the genius of Thiago in the midfield, which we can only hope we see more of from now to the end of the season.
Well, we'll move on to the Inter game now. Champions League football back, February, Valentine's Day. Around then, you always know it's going to be Champions League football. And I'm really excited for this one. I don't know about you, but Inter Milan, obviously challenging for the Scudetto at the top of Serie A. They've had a good season so far. How do you see, first of all, the tie going, but also, the leg itself?
I get my Champions League. This is the real crunch end of the season. Or when you get to the knockout rounds of the Champions League, these are where push comes to shove. Inter Milan being drawn out. Fantastic going to the San Siro, where obviously we did so in a group stage with AC Milan, and so we've got a kind of a sort of yardstick of what we're going to be up against. Obviously, they're completely different teams, of course, but they're involved in a very tight title race, as you mentioned there. They had a very tough game against Napoli on Saturday, which I think ended 1-1.
Yeah, it did.
Right on that, and I'm not sure how Milan have got on today, if they're playing now at the minute. So they definitely didn't have an easy game going into the week. Obviously, neither did we. So that's kind of leveled itself out. But yeah, you've got to look forward to having a knockout round of the Champions League. The one difference this year though is no away goals, which I'd be interested, not just with us, with all teams, how teams play it. What do we fancy doing? Because obviously you don't have the advantage of the away goals. Does that mean teams will be a bit more defensive away from home because you don't get that advantage of the away goals? So we'll have to say, I don't think our plan changes really, though. We'll do what we do. Certainly the away performances in Europe this season. The Atletico Madrid one, we were sensational for 20 minutes, awful for 20 minutes, and then we were back on it. So that sort of game, I don't think my heart could probably take that if it was another game like that. But you don't want to be arrogant. I think we're in a really good position. I think we are rightfully favourites to go through for this one. And you look back to the AC Milan group game. It was a very inexperienced team that went there, and to be honest, looked comfortable on the night against a team who had to win to qualify. So if we're using that as a yardstick. Definitely very confident, but you can never say never. It's knockout football. It's whoever turns up on the day. So I just hope we turn up and we can take a league into the second leg.
How do you feel about the away goals rule not being in this season? Because I feel like Champions League football is all about away goals, and you think about the amazing nights that we've had because of the away goals rule being in. Obviously, Barcelona was one of the greatest nights. Not Barcelona, apologies, but nights like that. Sorry, where you score goals and you need it just to get through. How important is it to have the away goals rule for you? And are you upset that it's not in this season?
I think upset might be a strong way. I just think it's a bit of nonsense that they've got rid of it. For me, it'll only encourage more defensive football, which no one really wants to see. I think if it was the other way around, we were at home in the first leg, you'd see a very defensive Inter side. You might see it anyway in the first leg. But looking at it for us in days gone by, first leg away from home. 0-0's not a bad result, but getting that away goal meant something. Now it's, it is different. So I can see a lot more defensive, football coming into it. It won't just be us; it'll be obviously in the other ties as well. I think it was a bit of nonsense, really. I don't think anyone disagreed with the rule. I thought it was a great rule for settling, ties that were level. Just so, but this is the way they've gone with it. Again, not much to say. We obviously we don't have away goals in the only other two-legged tie we get in this country is the League Cup, which obviously we've got experience of this season. Of there not being away goals, so hopefully we didn't need it in the end. So it's like I say, a bit of nonsense. Not a fan of it. Whether it'll stick or not, I don't really know. I didn't hear there was too much backlash against it. I suppose only time will tell, Tara, won't it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll talk a bit about the lineups now. Obviously, we mentioned earlier on about Burnley and the team that was picked today. Would you think that the likes of Jota will come in and Thiago, maybe Luis Diaz plays in place of Mane? Where can you see it going?
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting one based obviously on today. Well, I think that like we say, the back five's a shoe in. If you're going to rotate, maybe Matip for Canati is what we're going for. That would be if you were going to make a change. Obviously, depends on how Matip's feeling. That would be the only change I'd make there, unless we get injuries. Midfield, I think Fabinho is a shoe in. Thiago's a shoe in again. So that leaves the other midfield spot, which I think for me, if he's fair, I think Jordan Henderson takes it as captain. It's got to be really. Look at, Keita's okay, but I don't, can't go in there. Curtis Jones hasn't really taken his chance over the last few weeks, I don't think. But again, played all right. But, there's a few times where he gives the ball away and, I don't think he's really grasped it. And then you look at the front three, Salah plays, we know that.
Yeah.
But I think we look at it, I think this game is made for Luis Diaz. I do, with his certainly experience in Europe. And I think by him not coming on today, I think Klopp's had the idea of him playing. But I think Jota has to play as well. If off the bench today, didn't start. So for me, my front three, I'd love to see. I know all Reds, I'd love to see it. I've seen loads of predicted lineups and of the last few games where you'd love to see Diaz, Jota, and Salah. I think that front three, certainly going forward, that's a hell of a front three. That isn't it?
Definitely.
If we could see a glimpse of that on Wednesday night, I'm absolutely all for that. But obviously, you've still got Firmino and Mane. Where do they fit into this? It's I'm smiling. We've got options here. We've genuinely got options. You can't just sit there anymore and go, it's Mane, Salah, Firmino, end the conversation. It's mad.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'd love to see Diaz, Jota, and Salah. That front three really excites me.
Would you say then that with that front three, we go and get a lead going into the second leg? What would your score prediction be? Because I think I'd go for a 2-0.
Well, I think they set up defensively themselves anyway.
Yeah,
I think we play
definitely.
our normal game,
Mm-hmm.
and if we show what we've shown over the last few weeks, I think we win the game.
Yeah.
Well, like a 1 or 2 now. I think obviously you even with away goals or not, you want to take a lead into the second leg. It makes things so
Definitely.
much easier. I think there is a gap in class between the two sides. Hopefully we turn up and show it. If not, they've most certainly got the quality to punish us if they get the chances. But having seen what I've seen the last few days, we look solid at the back. I am confident of a clean sheet. No, we don't concede more than one, I don't think. But looking at it, I am confident. I think 2-0 is about right. Tara. 1 or 2-0, maybe 1-0. Just the sort of cautious side. I will see it being a cautious game. This one, but I think any red will take any lead back to Anfield for the second leg.
With that, are you confident that we'll go through to the next round?
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying not to be arrogant in any way. You have to respect the opposition, but try to look at it from a neutral point of view. There is a gap in class between the two sides. Hopefully, we show it. I think over 2 legs. We know Klopp's record over 2 legs is fantastic. If we don't manage to get it done in the first leg, if we draw, even lose the game, that crowd is going to be right behind them in the second leg.
Yeah,
they're going to not know what's hit them, and I'd fancy us then. So I think over the 2 legs, we should have enough to prove that we're the better side, definitely.
Well, moving away from the beautiful Milan, we'll move to Norwich instead, which is a wonderful fixture.
That's not a lovely part of the world.
Well, I'm just saying. Milan or Norwich, take your pick, Kieran.
No comment.
So Norwich are our fixture in the Premier League after that. We've played them quite a few times this season. We're playing them, a few times after that as well. So what do you expect from this game? Can you see the lineup changing a bit, considering the Champions League game that we'll have in the week?
Well, we're at that stage in the season where we are playing 3 times a week, pretty much for the next month or so. I mean, looking ahead, we've got Leeds the following midweek, and then the League Cup final after the week after. So, rotation will be certainly be a factor in this one. I think. Maybe you look at the likes of Simicast might get a go in this one. If I think he's already proven himself to be just as good as Andrew Robertson this season. So definitely. If you play Matip in the week, I think you definitely play Canati in this one. You look at the midfield. Well, even there should be a definite gap between the two sides. You wouldn't want to see Fabinho or Thiago not play a game. But which ones do you prioritise? You do have to give respect to all these teams. I know we do play Leeds the following week, but is this I think Fabinho has to play based on what we've seen.
Yeah.
Thiago, I think I think he has to play. Henderson maybe the one to fall out there. Probably then Naby Keita maybe comes back into it. Again, you've got options. I mean, Curtis Jones, Oxlade-Chamberlain, James Milner. We haven't seen Milner in a while, but we do have to definitely need to put a decent side out there. If it was the other way around and we were 9 points clear, I think you'd see more changes.
Yeah.
But again, we have Norwich or Man City, whoever we play, we have to beat them. And then I think going ahead to the weekend, I think Mane comes straight back into the side. Just the way it'll work, he'll come back into it. I think Bobby will come back in, maybe. But again, you can't. At the minute, you can't not play Salah and Jota. They're on fire. The top 2 scorers in the league. It is a really difficult conundrum to see whether to see who plays and if Klopp can keep everyone happy. I think we spoke about in a few weeks that something might give in the summer. We don't know. So he'll have to balance trying to win the game with keeping people happy. For me, I think Mane plays. Salah plays, and I think Jota's got to play. So I think Firmino, played today. I think he's the one that for me misses out the front 3, along with Diaz.
Yeah. What about Norwich for you this season? Have they impressed you? What have you made of them? And is there anyone on their side that you've particularly been impressed with and you wouldn't mind having over at Anfield?
They've certainly they've certainly picked up the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anyone had them staying up, really. They seem to be like in the Fulham and the West Brom and the Watford sort of yo-yo between Premier League and Championship. But to be honest, if they've asked you before Christmas, they said, no, they're gone. They're no chance. Then obviously they got rid of the manager, brought Dean Smith in, and to be honest, they've picked up some results. Definitely have. Obviously beating Everton a few weeks ago. They've given themselves a chance. That's all they can hope for at this point of the season for sure. Whether I don't think they stay up though. I think at the minute, looking at the bottom three, will be the three that go down.
Yeah.
Burnley, Watford, and Norwich. I've not seen. Obviously, looking at Newcastle today, they look good. They held on in the end, but definitely worth the 3 points in the end. You ask which players you could take from Norwich. Liverpool in the past, certainly Klopp has certainly signed players from relegated teams. You look at Andy Robertson from Hull, Gini Wijnaldum from Newcastle's in Shaqiri from Stoke when he went down.
Yeah.
So we've definitely got form in that. You'll see something in someone definitely. And I know we were touching about it just off air. I know we were certainly linked with Max Aarons, weren't we?
Yeah, we were.
For that right back slot. Obviously, we sent Neco Williams on loan to Fulham. So we are a bit bare in that area. So that's, probably a decent area for us to strengthen. Obviously, Simicast is providing wonderful competition, that left-back role. So I think, Max, whether he's good enough, I don't know. Obviously, all the scouts and all that, they'll have all the data or everything. The club will have that to a T, spot on. Apart from that, not really. Adam either. He's impressed last couple of weeks. Wasn't in the squad in the City game, but I think we are okay. Certainly for forward. Certainly if we go after Fabio Carvalho as well in the summer. So probably if there's one, I would have to agree with you there. The cover for right back and potentially Max Aarons if they don't ask for a ridiculous amount of money again.
Well, score predictions then for the Norwich game. I think I'm going to go for a 2-0. I said 3-0 for Leicester, but I think I'll go for a 2-0 for this Norwich game. What about you?
I'd like to think it'd be a bit more comfortable. I mean, they are fighting for their lives. They'll give their all, certainly, but I think we are due to give a team a little bit of a hiding soon. I think we are starting to click again. Today was difficult, but we knew that with Burnley. We had to get through it. The signs against Leicester were good. We controlled the game throughout. So I think, playing a team with a weaker defence, I'm confident of certainly a 3 or 4-0 in this one. Hope, but any win will do, mate. Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Kieran. Wonderful. Hopefully, we do give Norwich a lovely little hiding, as you mentioned there. But hopefully next week you'll join us where we're celebrating more wins for the Reds. Thank you, Kieran, for your time this evening. And thank you guys for joining us. And we'll see you next week with a new edition of the Shankly Gates Podcast.